Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa Clark. I'm an associate physician here at Protea, and today I wanted to discuss some common causes of female infertility. There are a lot of wonderful couples out there that are working to get pregnant, and unfortunately, it can be a difficult journey for many. It's becoming more and more common to struggle with fertility, and here at Protea, we love to dive deep into your overall health so that we can help you figure out what's been the holdup, how can we help, and let's help you have a nice, happy, and healthy pregnancy as soon as possible. So one of the most common or more common causes of infertility can actually be related to our thyroid gland. So a really common group of testing that we do here at Protea for our patients, and especially those wanting to get pregnant, is taking a look at the thyroid health. We know from research and clinical experience that we're looking for certain numbers within your thyroid panel to help signify happy, healthy thyroid function and optimal function, because we know that there's certain ranges that we want to avoid being in that can negatively impact our fertility. So one of them, for example, is what's called thyroid stimulating hormone. That's a signal from our brain to our thyroid gland, which is that beautiful butterfly-shaped gland in the front of our neck. We're looking for that signal to generally be under 2 international units. And if it is above that, then we're going to continue to dig a little bit further to see what may be causing that to be elevated. When that's higher than 2, what it's signifying is that your brain is needing to yell a little bit louder at your thyroid for it to make the appropriate amount of thyroid hormones, which is namely T3 and T4. Now, our thyroid, in response to that signal, that TSH, again, thyroid stimulating hormone, will make its 2 main hormones, as I mentioned, T3 and T4. It makes more T4 than it does T3. However, T3 is the more active form of thyroid hormone. So our body goes through a process of kicking off one of those iodine molecules from T4 to make T3, and then that active form of thyroid hormone helps and moves things around the body. Our thyroid as a whole is kind of like our metabolism regulator. It has the ability to turn an on and off switch on pretty much all of our cells. And something it's intimately tied with is our ovarian function as females. So for us to be having nice, regular, healthy ovulatory cycles, we need that thyroid signal to be as optimal as possible. One other thing that really plays a role into infertility is screening for a condition called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, something that you may or may not be aware of. So Hashimoto's thyroiditis is the most common cause of hypothyroidism, which means an underfunctioning of the thyroid gland. Essentially what this condition is it's called an autoimmune disease, which means your own immune system has started mistakenly attacking your thyroid gland. Generally, this can be turned on or start after we get sick. So if you can imagine, maybe you've been exposed to a common cold or a flu at work. In that process of getting exposed to that virus or that bacteria, our immune system will increase the production of our white blood cells. Throughout that journey of increasing the production of those white blood cells, some of them kind of get lost on what they're supposed to be doing. So instead of going to fight off that bacteria or that virus, instead they mistakenly come and they target our thyroid tissue, thinking that that's the foreign invader, when of course it's not. It's been with us since we were growing in our mom's tummies. However, it still can start attacking it. And when it does so, it can cause a lot of inflammation, not just within the thyroid, but within our body. And it can be a very common cause of infertility and miscarriages. So it's very helpful for us to know if that's something that's happening in your body. And we don't know unless we test, because there can be instances where your thyroid panel, for example, the TSH, again, that signal from your brain to your thyroid, and the thyroid hormones themselves are within a normal range. But there could be this aspect of Hashimoto's thyroiditis where we have positive thyroid antibodies, which is what we look for in the bloodstream, that would be very present. And perhaps the degree of inflammation and damage to the gland isn't high enough to actually affect thyroid function. So it's possible to have Hashimoto's thyroiditis without hypothyroidism, which is again why it's very helpful for us to take a look at that. Aside from that, other common causes of infertility are conditions that can cause what's called anovulatory cycles, or cycles where we actually don't ovulate or release an egg. One of the most common ones is polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, as the name implies, this is a syndrome, meaning a collection of symptoms that can be present for patients, and it can be a very common condition. Now, the name implies polycystic ovaries. However, you actually don't have to have multiple cysts on your ovaries to be diagnosed with this condition. This condition as a whole can not only affect your ovarian function, but actually can affect your blood sugar regulation and your overall metabolic health. So for more than just helping with pregnancy, it's helpful for us to address this condition so that your overall health improves as well. Part of the issue with polycystic ovarian syndrome is that the signaling from our brain to our ovaries gets interrupted oftentimes by elevated androgens. Androgens are male-type hormones, things like testosterone or another hormone released from the adrenal glands called DHEA. When those are elevated, it can interfere with our signaling and our ability to ovulate. In order for us to get pregnant, more than just developing an egg at the beginning parts of our cycle, we have to then release it at that midpoint when we should be ovulating so that, of course, it can be fertilized and implant and a baby can start growing. With polycystic ovarian syndrome, we find that patients may have a bleed or menstruate every month, but that may not actually mean that they're ovulating. So there's things that we're looking for in your blood work to help both diagnose this condition and also confirm if you've ovulated, namely looking for your progesterone levels. So that is very helpful for us to take a look at. And oftentimes patients may be worried or have been told in the past that because of PCOS, they may not be able to get pregnant or maintain a healthy pregnancy, when that's simply not true. If we can help you improve your ovarian function and also help improve your overall metabolic health, because again, it can affect our blood sugar control, then we have many patients here with polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS that are able to get pregnant and maintain a nice healthy pregnancy. It's knowing what we're working with and then addressing it appropriately. Other conditions that may contribute to infertility for females is something like endometriosis. Endometriosis is a condition where our body has kind of like a mistake when we're developing inside of our mom as a baby. The endometrium is the lining, the inner part of our uterus that we thicken every month and then shed every month. That's part of our menstrual cycle. Endometriosis is a condition where that same tissue is present in other parts of the body. One of the most common places that it can be present is actually on the ovaries. So if you can imagine, we have extra tissue around the ovaries that is thickening in response to that estrogen rising in our cycle as it thickens within our uterus itself. And then that can also bleed or shed in the same manner, which can cause very painful periods and also create some scar tissue around the ovaries that then can affect the follicle function of the ovary for its ability to develop an egg at the beginning part of the cycle and then also release that egg. There are ways in which we can still help patients with endometriosis to reduce both the pain with their periods and improve their ability to get pregnant naturally. So not everything leads down the road of in vitro fertilization or intrauterine insemination. However, we're here to help have those conversations with you and work with you so that we can best guide you forward. Now, those are some of the most common causes of female infertility. Don't forget that our male counterparts also can play a big role. About 40% of the time, infertility can actually be related to the male. So if you're interested in learning how males' health can affect fertility, comment below. We'll be happy to do another video on male infertility.